Hello and welcome to Minor Plays Medal of Honor Allied Assault Spearhead. This is the multiplayer map called Stadt, which I believe means town. I'm not completely sure. So this is probably one of the maps that I ended up playing the most on, and I think the main reason for that is simply just it was on the servers quite a lot. And you can effectively see the whole map from here. So the idea is this is where the Axes spawn, that's where the Allies spawn, and there's kind of 4 different routes of getting from one side to the other. So same as Gavita as well, and probably quite a few others. Yeah, each team has their own like starting building where they mostly spawn, and they have to try and work the way from one to the other. So for that, when I said there were 4 different ways of getting down, you have this path here. So obviously you have a lot of natural defences. You then can get down this route here, but this is obviously a little bit more open. Well, more open in here, but you can't see out of it. And then you have this final route here. But that in itself would have made this level a little bit boring. Obviously just have big Renaissance paintings. I'm assuming they're Renaissance, I don't know. Just out here, just for anyone to get. But the 4th way is probably what I think makes this map a little bit more interesting. They certainly put a lot of thought into the artwork, as in they've obviously like taken the artwork and kind of pasted it on, but yeah, it's the 4th way is the sewers. And so there's 2 different routes in for the Allies. So one was the route I've just gone. The other route is under the church, which I felt like if they were to make this more realistic, they would have had more of this art here. But if you go top of the church, then you just get a big view over everything. Obviously, everything then has a big view over you. And oh no, wrong. What map was it? There was one map where in the church, oh no, it's Crossroads, where in the church there's like a little ledge that you can jump on and you can see down. But if you do this, I found that people weren't likely to see you, and if they came up, then you just jump down and get behind them, and they didn't always realise that you were there. And I felt it a bit of an odd thing. Also, you can hide in here if you want. So yes, those are the 2 entrances to the sewers from the Allies' point of view. And then when you work your way up here, you then can climb out here, and this is the central part. But you can go back, that's a dead end, but up this way, and this takes you into, oh yeah, it's always quicker to run on the side part here, plus also they can't hear you when you're in the as much when you're on the side. If you run on the water, then they can hear you. This looks very similar to the basement of the church, but when you run up here, you get out into this building that's here. So the sewers, I think, are a great addition to this level. This is a great place for Axes to snipe from, actually. The sewers allow you to get from one place to the other fairly hidden. Obviously, because quite a few people might use the sewers, it wasn't completely hidden, but it was a good place to see if you could quickly get from one to the other if a lot of people were up above. So now we're starting to get into the Axes spawn area. This is kind of, sometimes the Allies might have control of this area, sometimes it's the Axes. And then finally, if you run all the way here, you can use these boxes as defense. That's where I actually spawned, where at the start of the video, but then you have this last way up, and yeah, there we are. So if you could get all the way through as an Allies, you could easily get in here, and this is a very protective building, so you can shoot anyone that comes around here and anyone in here. And I think what it's odd, normally they just have a 90-degree corner, but it's actually curved there. I think what I would normally do is not stay in here, because I think you'd almost think this is the most protective area, but you could easily have a couple of grenades thrown in. And if I think the axes would still spawn in this building, so they could easily get you. What I'd normally do is wait in this room, because if people came up the stairs, you could easily get them. If a grenade came in, you could easily run over. But I didn't like having to, spawn camp. I kind of, how I'd play this is I'd come over, be here for like 20, 30 seconds, and then kind of move on. Part of that was, yes, I didn't want to be a spawn camper. But the other reason was people would easily know where I am and they'd just come and get me, so it's best just to kind of move. So there wasn't really much in terms of jumps that you could do in this mission. Obviously you can get on here. This is another good place for the axes to be, because being able to see there is quite handy. And didn't mean to zoom in. You can jump all the way along here. This doesn't really help much. Like, you think, yeah, I'm really hidden, but they'd clearly see that you're there. So didn't mean to do that. You can jump onto these as well. You can't, I don't think, jump onto that ledge there. I hadn't actually tried it, but let's show you this building as well. This is the last little bit to go to. So this is a good place to hide if you're the Axes, although mostly when I played this level I think I was mainly the Allies. I don't think I played as the Axes, but just like with the Axes having that little hidey spot, the Allies, that was probably not a great place to hide, but here would certainly be good. You can get people from there. So if I go up here and see if I can try and get on that little ledge, I'm pretty sure you can't. No, not quite. The other thing I wanted to just try was, I seem to remember, and I don't know if it was a server thing, but yeah, I remember quite a few servers I played on blocked that bit, so you could jump down, but you couldn't go back up if you were the, well, whoever you were. And I think the reason why was because if the Axes got here, which I don't think was necessarily that difficult for them to do so, they could then easily shoot into the church, and the Allies mainly spawned in the congregation area there. Sometimes they spawned down here. I don't think they ever spawned in the church. I think they spawned where I'm standing now, and they might spawn maybe in the sewers, but mostly it was in the church. And so if you were the Axes here, you could easily snipe people. Yes, they could throw a grenade, but it was so easy to hide, and I think it just became a little bit broken. So yeah, I think some servers would stop this. The other thing that I don't know if they've done, and I probably can't quite remember how to do this, is I don't know if any of you remember sharking, and that was possible on this level, and the way, I think I blocked it. I'm sure what you had to do is you had to jump onto the ladder, and then when you're on it, press E to get off the ladder, and then press jump to jump off as well, and somehow it caused a glitch where the water does actually rise a little bit, where you'd then be in the water, and you would be probably the height of, trying to show you as much as I can. So if that's the water level, you can see how high that is. You'd probably go up to about this height here, whereas normally for crouching you're like this height, standing you're this height, and you would be very, very hidden. So you can imagine like hiding here, you could easily shoot people and they would have no idea you're there. But I think your camera was as though you were crouching, I think. That's gonna, and the way you could check if it worked was jumping, and if you couldn't jump, that means it worked. I'm not going to get it to work. Besides, I wouldn't be able to show you. I'd have to have someone else here. So that's what this level is like. It's a good one for sniping right up the passageways here, but generally speaking, because it's very, very covered, it's probably a better mission for better map for more of the submachine guns, and dipping in and out of these areas, going into buildings, going down into the sewers, potentially picking up these MG42s and setting them up. But because actually, if you were to set one up here, that's a really good hiding space. Obviously, people know where you are, so that they'd know that. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I shall see you in the next part.